New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio saying that it's time to have a, quote, honest conversation on racism. As protests on Ferguson and the Eric Garner case in New York City continue to spark protests across the country. De Blasio saying retraining police officers is the first step, he believes, in making that change.
What we have to do is change the fundamental relationship between police and community. Our police keep us safe, and yet there's been, as I said, not just decades of problems, a history of centuries of racism that undergird this reality. We can transcend that. We believe in New York City, retraining our entire police force is going to make a huge difference.
Bernard Carrick is a former NYPD commissioner. What do you think about that, Bernard?
I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about. I heard his comments on Rudy Giuliani yesterday.
Yeah, we're going to play those in a moment.
And Rudy Giuliani did more for the African-American community than any mayor in the history of this country. Crime dropped, violent crime dropped 80%. Homicides dropped 80, some places 90% in the African-American communities in this city. Not one of these two incidents, neither one, has demonstrated nobody has a shred of evidence that they were race-related.
In fact, his own family has said, his wife and his daughter.
His daughter and his wife both have said it's not racial. This isn't about black or white. This was something else. Whatever that something else is.
And there was a black female officer who was on the scene that did not appear to object to this either.
From my understanding, there was a sergeant, which is a first-line supervisor for the cops that were there.
All right, let's play one more piece of sound here on how Bill de Blasio believes that people need to speak to their children about interacting with the police.
What parents have done for decades, who have children of color, especially young men of color, is train them to be very careful when they have a connection with a police officer, when they have an encounter with a police officer. It's different for a white child. That's just the reality in this country.
Is he right?
No, he's not right. That's completely wrong. And here's why. My son is white. I know plenty of white parents that talk to their kids about how to deal with cops. You deal with them respectfully. You do what you're told. You don't combat them. You don't assault them. You don't try to take their gun. You don't resist arrest. Do what you're told to do. You can fight it out in court later, but if you have a confrontation, if you have any kind of interaction with the police, do what you're told. It's not a black or white issue. It's a respectful issue.
This is the soundbite that you mentioned earlier that has to do with Rudy Giuliani and the current mayor's thoughts on him. Let's watch this.
I think he fundamentally misunderstands reality. We're trying to bring police and community together. There is a problem here. There is a rift here that has to be overcome. But let's face it, a lot of voices on both ends of the spectrum want to keep us mired in a history that hasn't worked for us.
I mean, you know, when he says this, I mean, there's a lot of people in this country who nod their heads and say, yep, that's true.
But
What
he just said, we're trying to bring the community and the police together, not by inciting, not by saying every cop is racist, not by saying that, you know, every police officer, every police department in this country has to be retrained because of racism. That's not bringing communities and cops together. It's just not in my eyes.
I know that you've said that you're also concerned that police are going to be nervous, that they're going to back down, that they're going to be afraid to do their job in this environment.
Well, here's what happens. I mean, and it started with stop and frisk. Police that are out there working, putting their lives on the line every day, if they go out into the streets and they have to think that the mayor of the city, which is their commander-in-chief, so to speak, if he's not going to support them, if the city's not going to indemnify them to do their job, if they're not going to be there for them, if they're not going to give them the benefit of the doubt, why do I put my life on the line? Why do I go do something?
They need to have your back.
They need to have your back, and right now, that is not the appearance.
Yeah, you know, and you make a great point as well about Rudy Giuliani, because the thing that helps not only black communities but white communities in the entire city is lowering the crime rate overall. I mean, that's what makes everybody in this city safer.
But the most substantial crime reductions in this entire country came out of this city and came out of the black and African American communities. The most substantial crime reduction in the whole country came in this city under Rudy Giuliani. So it's kind of difficult to say that he doesn't.
De Blasio is saying he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand that you know, black kids are nervous and that they feel that they're being looked at differently by police in this city.
The police officers target crime. They don't target race. They target bad guys. They don't target race. They go into high crime areas. It's not about race. It's where the crime is.
There are certain voices that are not being listened to here by the president or by Bill de Blasio, like the police chief in Detroit, who we heard from this morning, and Charles Barkley, and those who were saying, you know, basically, look, you know, the police are there to protect you, and what you need to do, young people of any color, is to respect them. If you've got a beef, as you say, you got to take it to the next stage.
There's a process, Martha. There's a process. If you have a problem with the police, there's a process to deal with it in court. But you cannot confront them.
Once that conflict begins, all bets are off.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Bernard Kerik. Good to see you back here.
Thank you.
Thank you.